Up next, the story of a classic 70s hit written by a songwriter who crafted several hits for the Eagles, sung by a multi-platinum artist who dominated in the 60s and 70s. And guess what? We have the story from both of them in exclusive interviews coming up on Professor of Rock. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. Really excited for this one. You know, if you used to create mixtapes for your crush, crafting every little detail, song by song, you're going to dig this channel. Simply subscribe below to get the stories from the artists. And we also have a Patreon that remind people about another catalog of content. You can become an honorary producer and help us, our mission of curating this music history. So it's time for another edition of our series, Revelations, where artists and writers take us through a deep dive into their greatest songs and albums. A lot of times you get details never before shared. Johnny Rivers was one of the best-selling artists of the 60s and the 70s with 17 top 40 hits, including 9 top 10 hits, many different genres, pop, folk, blues, and rock. Rivers was extremely affluent from 64 to 67. He hit number 2 with his remake of Chuck Berry's song Memphis in 64. He also hit number 3 with P.F. Sloan and Steve Barry's hit Secret Agent Man.
Secret Agent Man, Secret.
It was from the popular British spy series Danger Man, which actually aired in the U.S. as Secret Agent.
Everyone he meets, he stays a stranger.
That same year, 1966, it was a big one. He had a number 1 hit with Poor Side of Town.
On the poor side of town.
And came right back the next year with another top 3 hit, a remake of the 4 Top song Baby I Need Your Lovin'. By 1977, he hadn't had a major hit in 5 years, though. That's when he recorded and released a song that fit his voice like a glove. Swayin' to the music, slow dancing.
Slow dancing, swaying to the music.
It hit the top 10 of the pop and AC charts and was written by revered songwriter Jack Tempchin. You might remember Jack. He's been on our show a few times. He wrote Peaceful Easy Feelin' for the Eagles.
Peaceful, easy feeling.
As well as co-writing Already Gone.
Already gone.
He was also Glenn Frey's good friend and songwriting partner throughout his solo career. Now up next, we have a great episode with both Jack Tempchin and Johnny Rivers, who's going to tell us the story of bringing slow dancing to life. I got to tell you, slow dancing is one of those magical, smooth, and easy 70s hits that takes you to a simpler place in time. I mean, I remember so many times driving with my parents when I was very young. This song would come on the radio as the sun was just going down. Everything seemed right in the world, not a worry. It's just really perfect that Jack Tempchin wrote this song because the song has always brought, at least me, such a peaceful, easy feeling to the soul. I remember listening to the lyrics and just daydreaming about, growing up and doing exactly what Jack wrote and Johnny sang about in this song. Slow dancing with my girl with just the music of the radio. And, even though all these years later, the world has certainly changed and it can get you down if you let it, we do always have these classic songs to bring us up. I can say that old daydreaming has become a reality. I mean, this is one of my wife and I's favorite songs. Let's get the story from Jack and Johnny. As we go into this interview, I do want to thank our sponsor, Zenni Eyewear, who helps to make this possible. Zenni rocks. I wear these things all the time. They're comfortable, they're stylish. The thing is, I say it a lot, you can design your own pair at Zenni.com just for you. You can do a virtual try-on to make sure you look right before you buy. Check it out today. Here's a story. Slow Dancing, which of course has 2 different titles, and I've been lucky enough to sit down with Johnny Rivers.
Oh, wow.
And get his take on this. So I'll add yours to his. This will be great because you have the songwriter and the singer, and I always love to do that to mix and match there.
Slow dancing, swaying to the music.
He told me when he heard that song, he knew. He wanted to cut it.
Jack had cut it with a band he was playing with down in Encinitas and around there
called the Funky Kings.
He heard your version, the Funky Kings.
And so I was listening to some radio station late at night. I forget which one it was there. And they played the Funky Kings version of that song.
And we're slow dancing, swaying to the...
And I went, wow, what a great song. So the next day I asked my assistant or my secretary at the time, can you check? I'm sure that song's on the charts because it's really a great song. So she checked the charts. And she said, no, it's not on the charts. It's not even. I said, you're kidding me. So I called Dean Parks and we wound up working it up. And we went in and we cut the track on it. That was one of the few songs that I overdubbed my vocal on. We cut it in different places. We cut it. Jim Keltner's playing drums on it. And Dean, of course, is playing the guitar. He came up with that da-da-da, classic opening hooky guitar, man. And that's it. We put all the backgrounds on it.
The first release on your Soul City label, right?
Yeah. And we got it. I hired some independent promo guys at the time and got it. It was #1 on a whole bunch of radio stations around the South. I knew I had a big national hit, but I didn't have the distribution at the time. So I took it to New York and played it for Ahmet Ertegun, who I was friends with. And Ahmet was distributing Big Tree Records. So he said, well, these guys are really good promos. They'll get this thing going really. So they put it out on Big Tree, and man, it went to like, it sold 2 million copies, one more.
Initially called Slow Dancing, it was recorded by you in '76. It's when you got a record deal around that time with Clive. Tell me about that.
I had gone up to LA to get a solo career going, and Glenn had introduced me. First of all, I was hooked up with Geffen for a while, but then Glenn introduced me to Clive Davis. So I ran into two other guys. I ran into Richard Steckel, who was in the band Honk, one of my favorite bands in the world. And he is an incredible player and singer and songwriter. And so I didn't want to be in a band. I was going to have my own record. But I got together with him, and then he said, let's go see this other guy I really like. We went to the Ice House and saw Jules Shear. The only time I ever saw him do a solo act. And as a solo guy who, talked and rapped and played these great songs, he was as good as anybody I ever saw. But I never saw him do it again except for that first time. And he had incredible songs. This thing we did in the Funky Kings, So Easy to Begin.
It's so easy to begin. But
The three of us went over to Doug Haywood's house. He was the bass player for Jackson Browne. And Jackson was there the first time we got together, and we sat down and we each played songs going around. I think I have a little cassette tape. I have a tape of them. And Richard played My Old Pals. And then Jules did a song, and I did Slow Dancing.
it's late at night and we're all alone.
And we just decided, man, we got to play together. It's too good. And the other two guys, too, were incredible harmony singers as well. We were rehearsing, the three of us, in a little rehearsal place. And then Richard and Jules said, I think we need a band. They called some guys from Laguna to come up the next day and to jam with us as a band. So that night, I get a call from Clive Davis. He says, I'm coming to L.A. What are you doing? You got anything for me? And I go, well, I did. I just got in this band, And he goes, okay, I'll come see you. I'll come see you tomorrow. In the morning, I go over there, and I had never met the bass player and the drummer and the other guitar player, Greg Lease, who's now one of the most famous guitar session guys in the world. So I said, look, you guys, in a few hours, Clive Davis is going to come here and see our band. And we'd never played together. And so we rehearsed the 3 songs, and Clive Davis showed up, and we played the 3 songs for him. And he had a couple guys with him, and he's sitting there, and he goes, Jack, I like it. I like it. And I go, oh, that's great. So what do we do now? Should I get an attorney and talk? Because most record companies, they like it. That means give us 12 more demos, and we'll talk it over endlessly, and, maybe it'll lead to... He goes, no. I like it. You've got a record deal. And that was it. And then he found Paul Rothchild to produce our record, who had already done great records for Janis Joplin and The Doors. And it was just miraculous. So we went and did a record. Funky Kings was the name of the band. And our version of Slow Dancing got up to, actually, I think it got up to number 60 is what it was.
Yeah, 61, I think.
On the Billboard chart.
Slow dancing, swaying to the music.
And then later, Johnny Rivers told me, I didn't know Johnny at the time, but he said he heard it and he thought, man, I would love to do that song, but it's already a hit, you know. And somebody said, no, it's not a hit. So then he did it, and he did a great version of it. But also, he went around all the radio stations in the South, and he went all over the country and personally promoted it, you know, became top 10. You know, and since the beginning, like you say, I stopped wishing for number one because I realized some songs go right up to the top and they boom, come right back down. But what's important, you know, to wish for is that they keep being played. So his version of Slow Dancing is still being, you know, so.
Well, and he changed the title of it because there was a song on the radio at the time by the Idrisi brothers.
Yep. That's exactly right.
First issued under the title Swayin to the Music, Slow Dancing.
I wanted to call it Slow Dancing. I didn't like that using Swayin to the music to it, but there was another Slow Dancing that was out. I don't know who it was.
Slow Dancing, Don't Turn Me On.
So they said, we better add the swaying to the music to it so that we can distinguish it from that other Slow Dancing record. So that's how it became Slow Dancing, Swaying to the music.
Love your vocal on it too.
Well, yeah.
Beautiful vocal.
But it was one of the few that I overdubbed from, you know, the whole song. Yeah.
Well, that's your most successful song on iTunes.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's the biggest seller. Of course, his song was a much bigger hit. Your song. That's a song that, oh man, it takes me back. It reminds me of childhood, my parents listening to the radio, my dad singing along to that. And that's the mark of a great song. Like you said, it can go to number one, but if a song can stand the test of time where every generation, it means something to them. When I knew I was going to interview Johnny Rivers, you know, my business partner, huge fan, was like, oh man, Poor Side of Town. I'm like, no, Slow Dancing, man. That's what I'm excited about.
I feel Johnny is such a big part of American music history. He's not sufficiently appreciated like he should. He has a double album of greatest hits that if you play it, everybody knows. They just don't connect him with all great records and stuff. So
a lot of people actually know his version of Baby I Need Your Lovin'.
Yeah.
Depending on the generation, than the Four Tops. And of course, Memphis.
Memphis, Tennessee.
And he's got so many stories too. I mean, the guy, wow.
Yes.
Just incredible. But great. He did a great version of that. Just a real feeling vocal, really great. And then Johnny Duncan had a top 10 country hit with it.
Dancing, swaying to the music.
Which really surprised the heck out of me because he talked part of it, you know. It's like
it's late at night and we're all alone, baby.
And I'm listening to it going, well, this can't work. And then boom, it went right up to the top of the chart. I felt that was probably my best song or one of the best, you know, it just seemed to, I was falling in love at the time. And then I sort of had the idea, you know, there should be a song about slow dancing. And then somehow it just came together and I was able to say what I wanted to say. So
we just flow together when the lights are low.
And the recording too, in his version, it's got the cool sound effects too. I like how he did that.
Crickets on the front.
Yeah, but you feel like you're there.
Uh-huh.
It's just so great about that. He did a
Oh,
great,
yeah.
he really, whoever produced that, or maybe it was Johnny's idea, that just sets you the ambiance.
I mean, who else could just do like Baby I Need Your Love and Tracks of My Tears?
Easy to trace the tracks of my tears. Easy to trace the tracks of my tears.
It's a real gift to cover a great song and make an actually great recording. And he did Positively 4th Street, and Bob Dylan wrote in his book that, well, Johnny Rivers is the only guy that really did one of my songs and got it.
I was down, you just stood there grinning. You got a lot of nerve to say you gotta help me.
Olivia Newton-John covered it as well, and she changed the lyric from My Girl to My Guy.
Dancing, just me and my guy.
It's Johnny Rivers, actually, it's his biggest song as far as on Spotify and iTunes. It's his most played song.
Wow.
For the new generation. Again, I think a lot of kids like me, they grew up, kids from the 80s, and they remember their parents playing that song, and it meant something to them, and it comes back around. And I really love your version of it with Rita Coolidge.
It's late at night and we're all alone.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I got really fortunate and got signed to a label called Blue Elan. And this guy, Kirk Passage, created this label, and I think I was the second person he signed. I thought he was kidding. He's going, yeah, we're going to offer you this deal, and we're going to pay for everything. And he just couldn't do enough, you know. It was an incredible label. He also signed Rita Coolidge later. And then he suggested maybe we could work on a duet. And I didn't know her, but it was just a great honor to work with her.
Slow dancing, swaying to the music.
We recorded it, and then at the last minute, I kind of listened and decided I took everything off except her and me and the piano.
No one's coming, no one gonna tell a thing.
And so I just thought that made it stronger. So that was a great opportunity I got to have to work with her.
Slow dancing, swaying to the music.
Thanks for watching. Leave us a comment about this smooth 70s classic. What are your memories of this song and Johnny Rivers and Jack Tempchin? What other songs from your coming of age years, 70s and 80s, should we track down? Let us know in the comments. If you dig our content, we do invite you to make sure to subscribe below so you never miss out on the content. We come at you daily. And make sure to look us up on Patreon for even more content. That helps us keep the music alive. So important. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.